Go on then, sell some tickets to the fans from WEC coming to Portimao.
Guys, you know it's a guaranteed show with me in a Jota LMP2 car. You know, it's guaranteed. And with this guy commentating, come on, just show up. I'll be there. And he'll be there.
Brilliant, see?
Hello everybody and welcome to the race debrief for the 1,000 miles of Sebring. I'm here with Davidson and we are going to talk you through everything you need to know from that very, very intense race, wasn't it, Ant?
It was, just to correct you at the start, it was more like 890 miles of Sebring. So they didn't quite make it, but it sounds cool, doesn't it? Those blasted safety cars and full course yellows.
It has to happen occasionally.
Yeah, they'll get there one day. I'm sure they'll do the 1,000, but no, it was, I wouldn't say it was a classic race here. It's weird, it had all of the ingredients. We were talking about this off camera before. All of the ingredients, if you wrote them all down, this and this and this happened, you'd go, wow.
It would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Gotta watch this. But actually the way it played out, somehow, it lacked some razzmatazz and excitement in many ways. I can't quite put my finger on why that is. I enjoyed segments of it.
So how about we get into it class by class and maybe dissect where those dramatic moments came from. And of course, I think it would be appropriate to start with the hypercars because there's a really quite complex race for them today. See Ferrari starting on pole, but ultimately Toyota taking the win.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ferrari did a great job in qualifying, and I expected them to be there in the race as well, to really take the fight to Toyota, and I think everybody was excited about it. And I think actually that's the bit that I'm kind of most disappointed about, that it didn't last long enough.
We never got to see that.
Yeah. They bolted at the start. Ferrari, number 50, it was there from word go, leading the way.
Yeah.
And the Toyotas they were hanging on, but they weren't really pressurising. And then we had that full course yellow. Both Ferraris dived into the pit, and we thought, oh, this is interesting, how the strategy is going to play out later on in the race, because they've surely got the speed. But then it all just crumbled. The Ferrari attack fell away, the speed fell away, and the race that I was anticipating didn't materialise between Toyota and Ferrari.
What do you think Ferrari will take from this though? Because obviously Toyota have a much longer history in this championship, a lot more experience. Surely this can ultimately be seen as a positive?
I think there are positives to take from it, from Ferrari's side. The car's got reliability for a start, and it's got speed in the right, at certain points, like new tyres, qualifying. Really strong.
Quite impressive.
Faster than the Toyota in qualifying around here. The timesheets don't lie. Where I think it did lack was the longevity of the tyres. It couldn't quite look after the tyres in the same way as the Toyota could, especially on the end of the double stint. It couldn't even look after the tyres in the same way that the Cadillac could. So I think that's an area that they'll decide to work on. I mean, look, they even asked, I can't remember which driver it was at the wheel, was it Molina at the end? No, it's Froco, end of the race. Can you triple stint the tyres? And he said, absolutely not. Yeah, what kind of a question is this? So look, they're still learning many elements of the car, but fundamentally the car does have speed and reliability. It's just they've got to unlock the potential of that speed in many different parameters during the race.
And we've addressed the good elements of Ferrari's day, and maybe it's worth addressing the bad elements of some of the hypercar manufacturers' days today, because Glickenhaus, Peugeot, even Van Wall had a tough day out there.
Yeah, I mean, they did. Look, Peugeot, since the moment they arrived at this bumpy track here in Sebring, they have really suffered. The gearbox failing before even the start of the race. You can't have a gearbox failing on both cars after so many races now in the WEC. That's why they joined last year, to iron out these teething troubles with the car. Coming into this season, it was supposed to be a much smoother ride, but...
Let's quickly move out the way of a very bright pink eye in Dame's car coming through. The perils of filming during pat-down, I guess.
We'll get to that car later as well. Nice to see the rear end attached.
That's savage, mate.
I mean, it's intact now, but it wasn't earlier on. But we'll cover that bit later.
We'll come back to that. So I think maybe we should carry on with LMP2 for now, because that was a chaotic day.
Well, before we get on to LMP2, we've got to talk about Toyota. They have set the bar so incredibly high. They're in the second year of their hypercar. So I feel like, they're the ones that we said they had the target on their back, and they walk away from this race still saying, catch me if you can. And even more so, because that car, they can get the performance out of it whenever they want. It's super kind on its tyres. They've sorted the ride out that they really suffered with last year, like Peugeot are going through now. They've absolutely mastered it. It looked like a joy to drive, and the drivers had a big smile on their face the whole time they were here. It's reliable. Both cars made it through to the end. No problems at all. What a formidable force.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a heroic effort from all of the manufacturers. We didn't cover Porsche as well. You know, they had an okay race, but too plagued by problems, pit stops, infringements. Yeah. Cadillac as well, an infringement for them in the pit lane, full course yellow. And too many problems. There's just too many problems. We said at the start, this is where Toyota are going to, it's where they're going to whip everybody. Yeah. It's in the operational side of things, and it completely played out. Actually, more so than what I thought it would.
I remember you even saying this last year, though, that having the knowledge and the background to the WEC already, that they have set the bar so high, yeah, that when everyone else is coming in, they really do have so much to learn.
Other teams will get there, but Toyota, I feel, in running their car from last year, they've ironed out all the problems. They come into this year and they're just running with it. Part of me even feels like maybe they didn't even really try that hard in qualifying. Maybe there's more. Maybe they're sandbagging just that little bit, you know. We are racing in a balance and performance category. You don't really want to be showing your hand all the time. So maybe that's what went on. But the Ferrari, for what it's worth, did look like I say, glimpses of performance here and there. The Porsche looked like it was good on cold tyres. It could always jump the Cadillac at the restarts, and at the start of the race, it jumped. One of the Porsches jumped the Cadillac, and then the other one jumped it later on in the restart. But the Cadillac's strength is its longevity on the tyres. Really kind. I don't know what they've done to that car's design, but for me, it's second after the Toyota in terms of its degradation.
And this is brilliant timing, because we are currently right by the Hertz Team Jota garage, who took home the win in LMP2 today.
Are we on? Is this thing on? Hello. How was the race? You speak a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did more than you during the race today.
Look at my voice, man.
You don't have to hold the mic on me. I've got a mic on me already. Yeah. I'm like,
sorry, I'm new to this.
Welcome.
So the car 23, we all saw them fail.
It looked like. Happened?
I do know what happened.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you know, look. Electronics.
This hurts. What happened to them, I can really sympathize with. Basically, the onboard camera inside the car got loose and touched this safety plug that switches off the whole car. I feel for them, to be honest, on that one, because they were fast. They had a good lead, and the race was pretty much green.
Did they have it in the bag?
Look, to be honest with you, their silver driver was in the car about to complete his time, and in theory, Josh is the slowest. He's not slow at all, but he's the slowest driver. So they were getting everything done perfectly, but this is endurance racing, you know. Like it is a long race, and you have to survive. And to be honest, these guys have been very good at surviving many hours of racing, and today they did it again.
What were you feeling at the end?
I still felt like I was part of this, and it was cool to be on the sidelines only once. I don't want to do it ever again, but it was cool. Like, you see how the team really operates and how decision-making process comes along, and you know, they involved me in a lot of that, and it was very cool, actually. And I felt it, like when we saw the Prema boxing, because we weren't sure.
So the team genuinely didn't know whether, because usually Jota are so on it in terms of knowing what not just they're doing in strategy, but others.
In the last half an hour, we said they have to splash. They have to. And then for some reason, they told us they no longer have to splash, which it was weird because they were still going fast, so it didn't appear that they were doing a lot of fuel saving. And it was weird how that splash disappeared for them, but it was also dependent, obviously, for the ones looking at where the overall leader is, because they can cut a lap out of your race. If the Toyota passes you, the race is a lap shorter. So we were also trying to play with that. Wow. But the Toyotas were actually only 5 seconds apart, so we thought about asking them to don't pass us because that will screw them, and obviously we didn't.
All sorts going on here.
And when we saw them boxing, it was like, yeah, like.
With what? Just 3 minutes to go.
3 minutes to go.
3 minutes
so
to go.
2 laps to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to it was awesome, actually. It was.
I
cool.
kind of feel like with the Prema team that they missed an opportunity there, and they could have fuel saved a little bit
The thing is,
earlier
if you wanna save 2 or 3 laps worth of fuel, you cannot do it even in 2 stints. You have to do it 5 stints before. You know what I mean? Like cut a third of a lap every stint, and then you'll get your 2 laps. So that point in the race, you have to do a lot. It's not worth it.
I'm sure you'd be able to do it in just a.
Well, with everything I learned from you, yes. But,
drive slow, save fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I did best.
We got to the point when Anthony was in the team with us, watching onboard videos. If anyone had a minimum slide, slap on the wrist from Anthony. No, not allowed to slide.
Teammate behaviour.
He got us to where we are now. It's all him.
Don't know about that.
Clearly in a good spot today, and you're looking ahead to Portimao. You're going back in the car. You're looking forward to
So
it?
Portimao. So yeah, obviously racing the P2 car, we need a silver driver in the car, and I offered to jump out of this one. I've done 5 races this year already with Formula E, and I wanted my teammates to get some racing going. But Portimao being my home race, and we're still racing in the LMP2, I asked to do that one, so I will be back in the car. Need to sell some tickets, you know. And then after that, we'll get the Porsche LMDH, the 963, and get that adventure going.
Thank you so much, Antonio.
Thank you, guys.
That was
I'll see you in
fantastic.
Portimao.
Cheers, man.
See you in
We'll be
Brazil.
cheering you
Yes.
on to the next one.
Ever so briefly, I want to touch on the other contenders from the LMP2 class. Who do you think were the star performers today, aside from our winners, of course?
Well, I mean, I have to say, and Antonio touched on it, the car 23 of Oliver Jarvis, his car crew, for me, they deserve to win. You know, they pole position from Ollie, a great lap yesterday. Josh Pearson, their silver driver, he was pulling away from the likes of Robin Friends, for goodness sake.
He looked very impressive today, yeah.
Really, he shone here last year. He's done the same thing again. He's only 17 years old. I mean, the future's bright for him in sports cars, most certainly. And as what should be the slowest of the trio in the United setup today, I mean, poor Tom Blomqvist didn't even get to drive. For me, it looked, they had it. You know, they had done their silver driver's drive time. The car was flying. They got the strategy just right in the pit stop with the full course yellow. And for me, they had it made. They were going to be impossible to catch. So to be robbed like that with the electrical problem, it's sad, but that's racing.
And also, I want to bring in Dorian Pin, because her debut in an LMP2 car was particularly impressive as well. Another super silver, as you might say.
Yeah, Dorian drove a great race today. A bit like Beckman, you know, when the pressure was on, she took to the challenge and actually closed in on the other silver drivers that were around her at the time, caught and passed them. A lot of that Prema's success today in the number 63 car is down to her and that performance. I've always said that as a car crew, you have to look at the lowest grade driver in that package, because that's where your performance comes from. It's not about the 1/10 of a second here and there between a platinum versus another platinum or a gold versus a platinum. They're all the same speed pretty much. And then it's just down to the nuances. But the real time is made between a good silver and a not so good silver. That's what wins you or loses you a race in the LMP2 category.
Also arguably LMGTE Am, because the strength of Ben Keating in
As
that
well,
Corvette,
yeah.
we definitely saw that today, didn't we?
Yeah, and that's why Ben Keating, Sarah Bovey, those two car crews, that's why they always rise to the top, because they're basically the best bronzes and silvers out there in that category, and that's why they're always up there. Then the pros get in and they kind of do their thing, and it's much of a muchness, but your performance is dictated by, you know, they're the backbone of your performance, really.
And it was really great to see, I think, one of the most interesting rivalries in LMGTE Am now. We got to see it for a part of the race between Sarah Bovey and Ben Keating, but it was cut short. And what potential do you think the Iron Dames could have had today to take that fight to Corvette to the end?
They most certainly
we can
would
always
have.
say if.
No, they most certainly would have. They had the speed in the car. It was such in a way, a rare mistake by Rahal Frey to go off the track. But usually, and you'll see, that's why I say it's a brutal circus. Usually, you make a small mistake like that in turn one, like she did, and you run a bit wide, and maybe you get, well, you get, like, worst case, you get track limits. Ooh, track limits. But, you know, here, you rip the bodywork off the car. And although you repair the car, at least aesthetically, it looks like you repaired it. The bodywork damage internally, like underneath the car, and the stuff you can't see, you jump in a car after it's been after it's been repaired in the pit box, and it's never the same again. You'll always lose performance, and that's what we saw through to the end of the race for that car.
And I do want to give some love to the Corvette guys because they just looked incredibly impressive today, really pacey, and from my perspective seemed relatively trouble-free.
It was, it was great watching it unfold with the different strategies, but it looked like they didn't really have an answer for the Iron Dames car earlier on in the race, but we hadn't yet seen all of their drivers drive. You know, Corvette, they know how to win here. They're on home soil, and again, a bit like the Toyota crew, you see them in the pit stops. It's slick, slick, slick. They know what they're doing. Nothing's an issue.
Easy breezy, off they go.
It was, yeah, and I think that's what really, in a way, that's what won them the race today, as well as the drivers performing well and not making mistakes.
And so we look ahead now to Portimao. What do you think are the 3 biggest takeaways we'll be learning from this race?
LMP2, we'll start with them because that's the easiest one. They're all the same cars, the performance, and on the same tyres. The performance is very similar between them. It looks like it could be anyone's. It's just however luck falls their way. That's who looks like, the car 23, 22, both Jotas, Premers. It's a really close competition in LMP2. May the best team win. It's really that simple, and the person that has, or the team that has the best luck, or the ones that doesn't have the bad luck. GTE Am, I think it's going to come down to the Corvette and the Iron Dames car all season long. I really do.
They did seem very competitive together today, I think.
Yeah, the Aston Martin, it didn't really seem like they were in the mix today, but again, Portimao,
track by track,
very different track.
Yeah.
And then of course when we get to Le Mans, it stands alone as it's such a high-speed circuit, and it's the one that everyone wants to win in this championship.
A lot of pressure this year. A lot of pressure.
So look, I don't know about the GT class really, but from what I see, last year it was all about Ben Keating and Sarah Bovey. We start this year, and it's the same story again. So I assume that's going to roll on all season long. The Hypercar category is probably the most complex. I think from what I've seen here today, Toyota, they walk away from this race still clearly the favourites. Ferrari have a quick car in qualifying. The Peugeot, I expect, will be much better off on a smoother track because the ride quality looks pretty diabolical around here, and they need to fix their reliability. If they don't, Le Mans is going to be an incredibly painful experience for them.
A very long 24 hours,
very
or
long.
Maybe not so 24.
Well, the problem is with the car, it seems to be repairable. If something small goes wrong, and then they can fix it and they're back out there again. It's just like pulling teeth.
So time consuming.
It is. It's painful for us to watch, let alone be involved with the team. They have to sort it out. So yeah, that's their mission. Whether they can or not is yet to be seen. Porsche, very good on cold tyres. When you go to the European races, Spa in particular, I'm thinking, up there in the Ardennes forest at 500 meters altitude, maybe their good warm-up will come into play on a circuit like that. Maybe somewhere like Fuji as well, a tight, twisty track like Fuji, they could be strong there. But yeah, Ferrari, I think they're realistically Toyota's nearest rivals. I think that will roll on all year. I've got a sneaking suspicion their car's going to work very well in Le Mans. Just from what I saw here today, yeah, they look like it got good straight line speed. The car, for me, it looks like the way it handles, it's not really designed for a circuit like this. Looks to me like
they built it with the big one in mind.
Like the Toyota, it looks like it's probably more suited for higher speed tracks with longer corners, faster corners. So yeah, Spa, Le Mans, I expect the car to fly in those types of tracks. Cadillac, I think it's more similar to the Porsche, but it uses its tyres differently, a bit kinder on its tyres. They can probably go the longest at tracks like Portimao. It's pretty hard on its tyres as well.
Okay.
And yeah, but I cut a long story short, try and beat Toyota. That's all the team's challenges. I don't know if anyone will be able to beat them at Le Mans this year. I really don't. And they've raised the bar so high from these 10 years plus that they've been in the WEC now, and they really are the team to beat. And it's not going to be easy for, even if your name's Ferrari, it's not going to be easy to beat them. It really won't.
And from what you're saying, if this competition's going to peak at Le Mans, I think we are in for one hell of a season.
We really will be, yeah.
Thank you so much, Anne. That was...
We've walked a long way.
We've done a quite impressive loop, to be honest. So much so that my shoelaces even come undone. Impressive work. Yeah, thank you, Anne.
It's all about reliability.
Are you calling out my reliability issues?
My laces haven't come undone.
And
Clearly all my time spent at Toyota has paid dividends.
ever the perfectionist, as Antonio told us. Thank you so much, Ant. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in Portimao for the next round of the World Endurance Championship.